And today I'm here with Sarah from Georgia. She is she's a foster parent and obviously in Georgia, and she is the owner of the page Foster Your Heart Out. And she recently gained quite a bit of attention after a post that she made where she was talking about her experiences as a foster parent without going into specific details about the story and everything. I'll let her talk about it, but I do appreciate you speaking with me today, Sarah, and I hope you are doing well.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And for those, I will definitely link to the post itself at the bottom of this. And for those who haven't seen it, you told a story of a child that was in your foster care, and it was just reading it myself. It gave a really very emotional response, and like this is a real story that and something that foster parents have to think about. And as a foster parent, how would you describe the feelings and attachments that you have to those under your care? Because it felt like you reading it that it was a great connection, even from just someone that you've just met.
I've always been an all or nothing kind of person. I've just always been that person that dives in. And when my husband and I first started telling our family and friends that we were doing foster care, one of the most frequent responses I got was, don't get attached. Don't let yourself get attached. We know how you are, slow down. And to me, that was baffling because these kids need attachment. If they had healthy attachment, they probably wouldn't be in foster care to begin with. So day one, I'm attached and I'm there, and these kids need love and they need attachment more than I need to protect myself. I can handle it. So I go into it with that attitude of I don't know how long I have with them, so I'm not going to waste a single second holding back any kind of emotion or love. So I just dive right in. So the time that I was at court where that post was written was just about 2 weeks into the child being in my home. And love is a strong word, but you can easily have love for a child within that short period of time.
And because I think there's a lot of people have a lot of ideas what it is to be a foster parent, but I don't think a lot of individuals ever actually think about how the process works and how you could get attached to someone in that short period of time. Could you talk about that a bit, especially in this case, because it's obviously resonated with millions of people, and because there's been also a lot of attention paid to it. So could you explain how that relationship developed in such a short period of time?
Oh, goodness. As a mom, I think everyone when they're pregnant is a little bit worried about how you're instantly going to fall in love with this baby that's placed in your arms. And it's something you stress about ahead of time, and then it just happens. And sometimes it happens quickly, and sometimes it happens at first sight. And sometimes it takes a long-term process of building a bond and a relationship with your baby. And that's what happens with biological mothers, and the exact same thing happens with foster care mothers. You can look at a child the second that you open your front door and you see them standing there, and you can feel an overwhelming sense of love and responsibility. And you can get a child that has difficult behaviors and difficult personality traits, and you can clash with them, and you can have to work really, really hard to build a bond. But it comes to everybody that I've talked to, at least. And being a brand new foster parent, like I said, I just decided to dive in and give them as much love and attachment as I could. And I was not expecting a teenager. I'm in the toddler mom phase. And so it was very, very different. I didn't know how to really talk to him. Do I talk to him like an adult or a child? Or I just kind of went with love and respect. And everything I did out of love and respect for him. And those feelings, they came. And even though there were challenges there with him, there was a sense of hurt that I saw in his eyes, no matter how hard he tried to hide it from me. And when you see hurt in a child's eyes, I mean, it's impossible not to fall in love with them and want to be there for them.
And just for those that do see this video, we can't go into direct specifics for legal reasons, protection of a child. So that's why we're being a little bit vague about specifics and names. I just wanted to point that out, and because I think that's the part that a lot of people don't quite grasp, because I've never. This is actually honestly my first conversation with a foster parent. And so that connection that you described, it's something, how you described it is almost as an instinct, and you're a young foster parent that is new to the process. And how would you suggest more individuals get involved in foster care? Because there's millions of children in need in the United States. And how would you describe your process into becoming a foster parent?
Well, I'll start with the process. It's a long one, and it's a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult. And I can appreciate that the system makes it difficult, because these kids deserve parents that are committed and parents that are willing to do whatever it takes for these children. So I don't think the process should be easy to get a foster child in your home. A lot of people have complained about how difficult it is. And these kids can be challenging, and you need to know what you're getting into, because you can't just walk away once you're in it. So our process of licensing actually took almost a year. From the day that I called an 800 number and said, I'm interested in foster care, they sent us to an information meeting. Our information meeting then sent us to what our state calls impact classes. Each state calls it something a little different, but it's a class of 20 to 40 hours of specific instruction about how the process works, what the goal of foster care is, which is always the goal is reunification with family members until that's no longer a safe or viable option, how adoption processes work, and then about the children themselves, behaviors and experiences that you can expect to see, reimbursement, and you name it, all that good stuff. So you have those classes. You have fingerprints, background checks, you have health checks, TB tests. Your children have health checks. Your vet needs to sign off on any animals in the home. They have to have updated vaccinations. Then there's the home study itself, where they come in and they look at fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide, baby gates, like you name it. We had paint cans, literally like sealed paint cans in our garage. Paint cans have to be 5 feet off of the ground. Medicines need to be locked up. So you're really, really going, it's like baby proofing times 10,000. You have someone come out to your home 2 or 3 times for that. And then you wait on paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. And once all that gets put together, you get your notification that you are a licensed foster home. It was literally the week that we were licensed. I hadn't even got to the defects office to pick up my license yet. It just came in that we were licensed. I had a foster child placed with us. So as soon as they get you ready, depending on your criteria, which you are allowed to choose, you can start getting placements right away because they need you. So that's kind of how the process worked. As far as referring other people to be foster parents, if that wasn't my goal, I wouldn't be on camera right now, and I wouldn't be taking time away from my family writing through Facebook. The Facebook posts originally were just to update my family and friends about our particular journey. But then I had friends saying, hey, my cousin's interested in foster care. Can she, talk to you? Or this person and that person. And soon I realized that there is a huge market of people that have thought about it and just want to see someone else living it before they jump in. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And then obviously, like you've seen, one particular post strike just a nerve and a chord with a lot of people. And now I am a foster care advocate, a month into being a foster parent.
Oh, I actually did not realize that you were that new into the process, and that's actually incredible. And we'll talk more about that as well, but you also are a parent of 2 young children yourself. And your husband is in the military. We don't have to go into direct specifics there. Does that add an added element that makes it more difficult, or do you find it more rewarding, or how does that work?
Insane. It's insane. I run a full-time business from my home. I have for the last year. My husband is with the military. He is technically under the umbrella of special operations, and I have a 2- and 3-year-old. We are stationed away from family. The nearest family is 12 hours away. So when you add up all the reasons why I shouldn't have jumped into being a foster parent, they would definitely outweigh the reasons that most people give me of why they can't be a foster parent. But I have never felt stronger than I do in this moment. My husband has no idea that we had a foster child placed with us because phone contact is not really an option right now where he is. And so I did this on my own, and I have never felt stronger or more empowered. Like, if I can do this, y'all, I can do anything. Like, it's not easy. There's been a lot of tears, but it's also shown me that the more you put out there, the more you receive. So I've had to learn to rely on a community that I wasn't necessarily tapped into before, and everyone has really stepped up to support us. So it adds a lot of challenges, but at the same time, the reward that I feel is just overwhelming right now.
And at the point of the post that you made, how many children have been in your care at that point?
So that's our very first. That is my very first placement, we refer to him as C. C was my very first placement. The post where I was sitting in custody court was just about 2 weeks into my foster care journey of being an official foster mom. It's been in my heart for a while, but I never had a kid in my home. So it was right into the beginning. And so, yeah, it was a new experience. I honestly didn't realize that was a common occurrence because, like I said, it was a first time for me. I'd never sat through a custody court hearing before.
And what was that like, sitting there and listening to that over someone that you've already developed feelings for?
It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Because as a mom, whether your children are biological or foster or adopted or brand new into your home, your instinct is to protect them. And once I realized what was happening, and I could not protect him from the pain that he was experiencing while he was sitting next to me, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever been through. I wanted nothing more than to grab his hand and walk out of that courtroom. But it wasn't an option. And we got through it. It was really, really hard.
And because I can just tell that is an emotional
Yeah.
Time for you, and I think that's what so many people have caught on to, and that's immediately what I felt while reading about it. And then, without going again into specifics, a lot of these cases, these children don't really have a solid foundation. Do you feel that providing a place of love is how you can help these children, I guess, defeat the system and get out and become even stronger from this, because they were shown that love by someone that they honestly just met and helped build trust in other people?
Absolutely. I think one of your biggest goals as a parent is for your child not necessarily to have an easy life, but to be resilient. And that's the foundation that I've tried to lay with my children, is that things might happen that are less than ideal and things that I wouldn't want to happen to them. But if I can give them a solid base of love and trust and just a home, there's just something about always having that place that you can go to that's yours. If I can give that to a child, they are much more likely to be able to cope with the stress and the trauma of foster care. No matter how good my home is, they're still going to have to experience very, very hard things. But if I can give them a place that they feel loved and secure, I know they can rise above these specific circumstances.
And again, without going into too much specific detail, what are some of the challenges that you feel the foster care system has that you would like to help with or help bring attention to?
Oh, goodness. That's a loaded question, right? Homes. When they called me, they used a term that I didn't really understand what it was when I first started this process. And they said, we have been hoteling C. Our particular area, which is not abnormal, this is what's happening everywhere, but I can speak on our area. Our area hotels children, which means that they take a child from an unsafe situation. They take it to the defects office and they start going down a list of licensed foster parents asking if anyone is open for a placement. And the answer is no, all the way down the list. The answer is still no. So at the end of the day, what do you do with the child? There's a couple options. There's group homes and there's hoteling. And C came to me from a hotel. They place children in hotels overnight. The defects officers or police officers or defects workers, social workers, either stay there, or if there's multiple children in multiple rooms, they check frequently to make sure that they are okay. And that's where they stay. And the next day they take them to school or they take them back to the office to hang out while they're waiting for a placement. And that should not be an option. I mean, how many homes in America have guest rooms open? These beds are open in a home where this child could have dinner with a family and wake up to breakfast with a mom and a dad there, and we're having children spend the night in hotel rooms. So I think just the first step, we've just got to have homes open. And not everyone is called to be a foster parent. It's not easy. This roller coaster is insane. But if you are called to it, ignoring that call, it has to stop, because we need you. We need families just to step up and be placements. There's a lot of different options. You can be what they call an emergency placement, which means you only take children until they find other foster homes, so kids don't have to go to hotels. And that was originally the call that I got for C, was will you just at least be an emergency placement? And then I asked if he could stay a little bit longer. You can also be a respite home, which means that if foster parents need a break, you can take a kid for a week. And there's a lot of instances where families do need respite. So there's a lot of ways where you can open your home without being a full-time foster family.
And again, looking into the situation, how, what would you like to say for your experiences thus far in being a foster parent, and advice that you would give for those who are also new that or might be looking for someone to talk to that has gone through something similar, or just encouragement?
Oh gosh. Personally, without my faith as a Christian, I could not be on this walk. I am a selfish and insecure person, so I have to tap into a faith that is bigger than me. So you need to find your faith. You need to find your community. When I had C in my home and my 2- and 3-year-olds, there was not a second where I wanted anyone to be left alone together. I needed to build my trust in him, and I needed to have that constant supervision. So something as simple as taking a shower was getting to be really, really difficult at first. And I had to call a friend just to come over and hang out with the kids while I took a shower. And so having those people that you can call, that's got to be key. So if you're new into this, build up your community. I've realized a trend with foster parents. There's so much negativity surrounding foster care that they don't even want to mention it to friends and family. And I understand why. When we said we were going to be foster parents, we heard your kids are too young, that's dangerous, you're going to get attached, your hearts are going to be broken. these kids have issues. Are you sure you can handle it? You're already stressed out as a wife and a mom by yourself all the time. And so it was hard to get through that and to push back on people that are saying things that are hard to hear out of their misplaced concerns. And so there's a lot of foster families that try to kind of seclude themselves, and that's the opposite of what you need to be doing. You need to be reaching out and telling everyone that you come in contact with that you're a foster parent, because once people are aware of the situation, they're more than happy to help. I had friends dropping off snacks for C, so he had granola bars in his room at all times. I had friends dropping by just to babysit. I had dinners. I had so much outpouring of love and support, and I needed it. And I think any new foster family will need that too. So talk about it. Share your experiences. Obviously know the policy of what you can and cannot share, but just share what you're going through, because when people know that, they're willing to step up and help you.
And I think that point right there brings up a very interesting question for me. That outpour of love and support, again, without going into specifics about any specific foster child, is that something that you saw change him as an individual and helped him develop trust in you and the situation, and maybe even in humanity itself?
I think so. He had a specific sports team that he really liked, and I mentioned it on Facebook. And someone that I've never met went on Amazon and ordered him a blanket that had that team on it and sent it to him. So he was able to open this, and he goes, "Who is this from?" And I said, "So-and-so. She heard that this is a team that you really liked and wanted to do something special." And he goes, "She doesn't know me." And I said, "I know, but she believes in you and she's rooting for you." And it was shocking to him. It was absolutely shocking that there is a community of people that would love him and support him without even knowing him. And I hope that planted a seed in him, a seed of trust and faith in other people. And I really hope that it made a difference. And then deep down, I really think that it hit a nerve that probably hadn't been hit before.
And then before we wrap up everything, I'm not sure the legality of this. Are you planning to stay in contact with C and check up on his progress and how he's doing, or is that allowed in this state?
Yeah, it definitely is. He's no longer in our home, and of course I can't go into why, but it's a really hard reason. And I can explain some things in general. Teens are not easy. Bio teens are not easy. Foster care children, when they're teens, are not easy. I was not easy as a teen. And it can be challenging. But just because they can't be in your home doesn't mean you can't love and support them. One of the first things that I did for C was I had a photo shoot at our home for him. And he told me he's never had professional photos taken, ever. And he lit up. He was posing and smiling, and you could tell like he was really, really good at being in front of the camera. So we took lots of great pictures. We took pictures of him in our home, with our family, in his room, playing basketball. And I'm really excited to make what foster care world calls a life book for him. It's really hard for a lot of children in foster care. They get to high school graduation, if they get there, and they are asked to provide a baby picture and a senior picture. And you would not believe the amount of kids in foster care that don't have those things. And then they have children and families down the road, and their children want to see, what did you look like as a kid? And they don't have that. So one of the greatest things we can do as foster parents is create a life book and really just document, like you would for your bio kids, what their life looked like. So even though he was with us for a very short amount of time, I made sure to document as much as I can, and I plan on sending that and trying to definitely stay involved in his life.
Okay, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time to speak about your experiences, and I definitely hope this reaches a number of people and encourages those thinking about it, or those who never thought about it before, to become foster parents. And again, before we wrap anything up, are there any final words that you would like to say and to anyone out there, possibly see, or those that are working as foster parents, or anything else?
Oh my gosh, if I tried to talk to C, I'd just like start ugly crying in front of you. So we don't want that. I would like to go into just a little bit about why I feel like it's so important to talk about this. I'm walking through a gray area of what I can and cannot talk about, and there have not been a lot of foster parents speaking out in the way that I am. And a lot of people are concerned that I am sharing his story, which is only his to share. And I am doing my best to keep all of the details on me and how this is affecting me. But of course I have to share a little bit, because if I would have said, I went to court today and it was hard, my foster child was upset, people wouldn't be responding the way they are. I had to convey the pain and the hurt, and that's hard to put out there. It's really hard, but it's important because I need people to hear these stories. And if we can't put the stories out there, then people can't make a change and they can't make a difference. So as much of a gray area as it is being a foster parent speaking out about foster care, because we do have an obligation to protect the children in our care, protect the stories and the bio families. Everyone needs to hear this stuff. We can't keep closing a curtain on the foster care system. People need to hear the good, bad, and the ugly. And so that's why I am as passionate as I am about speaking about this, because people can't get involved if they don't know what's happening. So my overall goal is to encourage as many people as possible to step up and to join the ranks of foster care parents. But if you are not ready for that, support someone in your town that is a foster parent, because there is someone there. Search them out, find them, and let's all come together and help these kids.
And I definitely think that's a great message. And I would love to speak with you again in the future just to see how everything is going. And I think your message is important.
Thank you. We have a new placement coming, which I'm trying not to reveal it too much until I can tell my husband in person, because the poor man's coming home to enough already. So I can't wait for him to get home, and hopefully I can tell him about our new placement, and we will have lots and lots to update. So I can't wait to share more of that story. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
That is, it's definitely been my pleasure. And well, we will stay in touch, and I will, we'll definitely, when you're ready to speak again, I will definitely be here.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.